In Pakistan, employers can't use LinkedIn to find blue-collar workers. And on the other hand, blue-collar workers can't use LinkedIn to find jobs. Those who want jobs can't find them, and those who want to hire can't find workers. Using technology to connect employers and job seekers, my next guest wants to solve this problem. His name is Bazigh Kiani, and he's the co-founder at Bhartee. With Bhartee, you can hire skilled, NADRA-verified blue-collar workers across Pakistan in less than a week. Let's listen in. Welcome to the Misal podcast. Bazigh, how are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for inviting me.
So basically, I'd heard about Bhartee like a couple months back, and then someone sent me your pitch deck. And at that time, I was like, you know what, it's getting serious, so I need to talk to you. And so, yeah, that's why I reached out to you, and I'm really glad you could join me. And of course, we will talk about your fundraising plans right now. But before we get to all that, please, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what problem are you trying to solve with Bhartee?
Okay, so I'm Bazigh Kiani, and I trained as an engineer a lot of years ago, and then 10 years I spent in the defense technology sector, exited from that business last year. And now the problem which I'm working on is actually the issue which most of the Pakistanis are facing right now, and they have been facing this for a long time, which is employment locally and also overseas. When we talk about Pakistani employment, we are not talking about for now, blue, white collar segment, but we're talking about the blue and gray collar segment, which forms the majority percentage of the Pakistani population. So we are focused on that problem. Bhartee is the Urdu word for recruitment. So, we are a platform where we connect the candidates to the employers, in Pakistan and also in the Middle East. So that's the core issue, which we're facing. And, one of the things which we saw early on when we were working on this idea is that if you set out to get people for a certain role, and, we hear all the time that, people are having a hard time finding jobs, but even as an employer, if you set out to find people for a certain role, you're going to have a hard time finding those people. There's no platform for this purpose. If I ask you, then you're an industrialist and you're looking for, let's say, technicians for a certain plant that you have, and you say that I want 20 people, to set up this plant in the next few weeks. It will probably take you a few weeks to find those people. So domestically, this is one problem which we're solving. Another thing, which we are doing is to solve overseas employment for the blue and gray collar sector, for the majority of Pakistanis, which has been traditionally done by agents who are exploitative, and they charge heavy fees to people in Pakistan to find them employment overseas, and even it doesn't work out well for the overseas employers, and that has reduced the employability of Pakistanis in the region. So we are here to increase the viability of Pakistani workforce in the Middle East. That's our first target. And also, ease it out for employers and job seekers in Pakistan.
Is there a reason you're trying to solve this problem? Or do you have like a personal experience in terms of did you try to hire someone and had a difficulty and you were like, what, this problem needs to be solved? Is there a story behind it?
Yeah, of course. So when I was working in the defense technology business, we had to deploy solutions for the defense sector. And it usually used to be in remote parts of Pakistan. So we had to deploy teams for 2 or 3 months in those areas, and we had to assemble those teams as well. So, that was always a challenge, finding the people for different roles, in a short amount of time, and, vetting their whole profiles and doing their clearances. And then, bringing them up to that remote area and getting them to perform, that's, really a challenge. Back then, I used to think that someone should solve this problem, but, we ended up trying to solve this problem ourselves.
So how does the business model and the business side of things work? Is it mostly B2B, I would assume, and you are basically connecting, you have a supply of workers that you verify, maybe interview, maybe shortlist as candidates, potential candidates, right? And then you send them to the employers, right? So how does that process work out?
Yeah, so we are solving that problem through tech. So we didn't want to be, very operationally heavy sort of startup. We are solving that through tech in a way that we have, certain channels. One is the WhatsApp bot, through which, we initially profile those people. The bot asks them questions, which sets their basic profile up. Then, based on the role which they want to, be profiled for, they are assigned testing centers as well, which are third party, and, they are licensed by the government as well to get their skills tested. There's also an identity check, which is very thorough. We do compliance with a lot of screen lists, blacklist, governmental and private. So we screen those people through different networks of screening lists. So that, really sets us apart from other, you can say, agencies which are doing this. They are doing this offline, but we are doing this online. So, the identity is checked, their skill set is checked, and their whole profile is created first automatically, then through the testing centers. We also have a lot of training institutes on our platform, which bring in a lot of this, you can say freshly trained, people for us to bring on our platform. For example, in the hospitality sector, we have an institute. They have more than 25,000 people on their alumni list. So those people are screened by the institute first and then through our platform. And, that gives us a steady supply of, you can say, people, for the hospitality sector. So, for different sectors which we are focusing on, we do this with a lot of training institutes, and we make sure that we build their complete profiles in a way that it helps the employer, find the right people.
I mean, given the current, economic environment in Pakistan and everything, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of supply compared to demand, right? So how do you go about generating that demand? Like, do you have social media campaigns? Like, how does it work? How do you reach your the demand side?
Of course, there's the demand. The supply side is definitely increasing in number because of the negative sentiment associated with the currency devaluation. It's getting harder for people to earn enough for their survival in Pakistan. That said, there have been layoffs in the industry as well. So that is also contributing a lot to the supply side. But, we are currently not on any social media platform. We plan to do that. But for now, we have been focusing on institutes bringing that supply to us. That's an easier way, which we identified to get verified workforce, on our pool. And that is, what we've been doing for the past few months. That's an easier, lower hanging fruit, which we wanted to focus on. And, in the near future, we have plans to, launch a social media marketing campaign on TikTok, on, Facebook, YouTube. We have that in our pipeline, but, that's for probably after Ramzan. But before that, we have enough supply, which is nearly about 100,000 people on our platform already through the training institutes. So it's going great so far. The supply side is crazy. It's going to keep on increasing with time.
So when it comes to the demand side, so when an employer wants, any of the workers, they want you to connect, the workers with them and stuff like that. Do you handle all the back end stuff in terms of payments and everything, or do you let the workers handle it themselves?
So right now we don't handle the payments, the payouts to the workers. So it's just the connector between the workforce and the employers. But we will have that in the future. We have a module which is ready. We're working with a bank to set that up. So it's going to be something like a digital wallet for payroll processing. And, it's pretty exciting for us to be able to do this very early on. But it does add a lot of, you can say, value to our platform. So we are looking into that, but for now, it's being handled by the employers themselves.
So as I mentioned in the intro that I found out about you recently because of the pitch deck that I received. So I know you're fundraising right now. How is that process going so far?
Yeah, so the process is pretty exciting. We get to talk to a lot of people, pitch our idea, which everybody is excited about. And, this is definitely something which is going to be big for the next decade at least, because the conditions in Pakistan economic wise, we're looking for a change. Our core focus is more towards overseas employment. So that's, something which is already on the rise. You must have seen the news report, saying that 850,000 people migrated from the country last year. And, people took that negatively, but we take that very positively because such models have been employed by Philippines, Bangladesh in the past, and it has worked out well for them. So for Pakistan as well, this is our focus is aligned with, what people in Pakistan want to do. So that really, gives us a market fit, which is naturally there. Second thing is that, in the fundraising, yes, we are raising right now. We are already, set up all the holdco and everything, and we are in the process of finalizing, all the offers which we have. So you will probably be hearing the news about that pretty soon. It is going great, but obviously there is a negative sentiment attached to Pakistani startups right now. There's investors are being very slow with taking decisions. So yeah, it will progress, but not at the pace which we wanted to initially. But yeah, we're near the close now.
That's good to know. I mean, of course, fundraising has gotten difficult recently. I mean, past 6 months. But so, how long did the whole process take from the point where you started fundraising and now that you are close to making a deal?
Yes, so we started fundraising in November last year, and we are now near the close. In it's end of February, so yeah, it's taking longer than what we had initially planned out. But of course, these things are not in our control, and there's a lot of factors at play locally and also on a global scale. So I think venture funding is coming back. So that's now speeding up. We have received an offer from an international VC, which I cannot name right now, but of course, that's one of the things, which has really sped up the process for us.
Yeah, sounds good. That's really exciting. And I hope, you get to announce soon. And of course, make sure you do send it out to me too. But yeah, so when it comes to, of course, your fundraising, because you want to build your tech, do the marketing, stuff like that. So can you tell me a little bit about your co-founders and how big is your team?
Yeah, so I have two co-founders. One is Adil Ahmed. He's a marketing expert. He has spent the past 10 years in marketing. He has worked with, a couple big names in the Gulf. Then the other co-founder is Zille Batul. She's from the academia sector, and she's building the skill development and testing modules for us. So that's we have specialized role, all three of us, and we know each other since 15 years. So we've been working together on and off for a long time on projects. So yeah, we came together with this idea. I brought the idea up to them, and they just knew that this was what we wanted to do, and we had discussed this before as well. So yeah, we are focused more on the revenue side. We were not banking only on the fundraising to help us build the tech and everything. So we already have revenue, and in simpler terms, we are profitable even right now. So that makes things easier for us. We don't have a finite amount of runway, which we need to meet. So yeah, it's easy for us to run the operations right now and take the fundraising at a pace, which is on our terms.
So since you started, your startup, I'm sure you must have faced a lot of issues, certain things you might have had assumptions about, but it turns out that wasn't the case. What's your biggest, or what has been your biggest challenge so far?
Yeah, so when we set out, because I've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years, so I knew that, we will need to do a lot of iteration, and, it's going to be an iterative process where we will, try out different things in the market and, see what really picks up. So we did use that model to go ahead and, find out what helps us, finalize our model. So now it's pretty much mature, but one of the key challenge which we faced in the start was, connecting with these people, who don't have much information about technology, getting them to onboard their own selves. Because for us to go and onboard these people, it becomes a big challenge. It makes us operationally heavy, which we don't want to be. So that was a challenge, but we fixed that through multi-language bot, which we have now employed. And right now it can do Urdu and Pashto, but soon it's going to be able to do other languages like Balti, Sindhi, Balochi. So yeah, and one of the things which we found out was that people who use voice notes a lot. So rather than getting them to type, or rather than getting them to read, because a lot of those people from the blue collar sector, they can't even read properly. So we send them voice assisted questions, and that really helped them, to connect on our platform and self-enroll. So that was one of the key challenges which we faced, and we fixed it now. And now it's the platform is good enough to scale very quickly without our intervention.
So one question that I try to ask my guests, just to learn about if there is a solution in the market, if there should be someone building a solution for you in the market, has there been a challenge that you feel, maybe technical, maybe something else, that you wish there was a solution out there that you could tap into to solve that problem of yours?
Yeah, for us, there should have been more, and I put out a LinkedIn post for this as well a couple of days ago, looking for startups which want to do skill assessment and skill development, through tech for the majority of the people, which means the blue and gray collar sector. There are a lot of ed tech platforms out there for white collar streams, but, there are none that I know of which are doing this on a large scale for the blue and gray collar sector. So this is like fortune, sitting right there for people to take on. We obviously don't want to go deep into it right now. It will, make us lose our focus. But if someone else is doing it, we would love to collaborate with them. And, we can be their initial traction because we have the use case for it, and we can help them, scale up. But yeah, we are looking for that actively right now.
Yeah, there are so many platforms now out there for soft skills plus technical skills, creative skills and stuff like that. But I think what you're talking about is very niche and very specialized. So there's not much, in terms of content out there, at least teaching people. When it comes to right now that you are building your startup and everything, so you must have some milestones in your mind where you want to take your startup. And what are some of those milestones, and what would be your North Star metric?
Right. So the first, goal which we had set initially was to get, 3 sectors which we were focusing on. One is hospitality, second is healthcare, and the third is construction. So we wanted to map out all the different roles in these sectors, from Pakistan, and map out the training institutes to get them on board, So that was the first goal for us. The second goal was obviously numbers based. We needed to meet certain numbers. So we are now at more than 100,000 people in our pool who have been verified through the platform. And, we're pretty much satisfied with the kind of profiles which we have been able to curate through the system. So that was the goal. Now, the third goal, which is really exciting for us, is that we are expanding into setting up an office in the UAE. It's because that's one of the bigger demand markets which we have. So that's the upcoming goal, which, we will be meeting up with in March. So setting up in UAE, setting up a team there, getting the licensing done, and, starting the demand side from overseas. So that's going to be something huge for us, and that's our next goal, which we are working towards now.
Well, I know we touched on this a little bit early on, but in terms of how the average person is feeling in Pakistan, given that you have access to your workers as well as employers, Like, what is the sentiment like? What do they feel about? Like, are they hopeful? I mean, hopeful is like, I mean, everyone is hopeful, but what's the mood on the ground?
Yeah, so the mood is, unfortunately, there's a very negative sentiment going on everywhere, so it's on the employer side, they're all very stressed out, on the employees or the candidates, who are job seekers. For them as well, it's pretty negative because obviously the inflation, the price hikes, everything is giving them more stress. And, people who are unable to manage their finances right now through their current income, or they don't have a job, it's becoming difficult for them day by day. So the migration sentiment is pretty high. I think, the society is very much polarized now, which is sort of dangerous. But if we are able to, manage in the next 6 months and, stabilize everything in terms of us as a platform, so I think we will be able to challenge that pretty well, because migration sentiment is not a bad thing. People think that it is a bad thing, but it is actually not. As I said earlier, other countries have demonstrated that, like Philippines and Bangladesh, Indonesia also to some extent, they have demonstrated that migrating for work outside of Pakistan actually does not only bring in foreign remittance, does not only let these people earn from abroad, it also, you can say, promotes social upwards mobilization or class mobilization for these people. It also does something that, they learn the tricks of the trade overseas, which, is not available in the local market. So when these people return after a couple of years, back to Pakistan, they are able to set new things up. They're able to bring the service quality to a higher level. And this has been demonstrated in the past as well. And this is something, which we should focus on now. To take something positive out of that negative sentiment, which the people have right now. So there's always, opportunity when we are facing problems and challenges as a nation, and we need to just, use those opportunities to grow.
So yeah, I mean, you make a good point about workers that go, especially the blue collar workers, they end up coming back, and that's important that they go there 2-3 years and they come back and they send the money too. So I mean, of course, that's not a bad thing. I think what the outrage people have is about people who just leave the country, mostly to the Western countries, and I think that's where people are they feel like there's a lot of brain drain. So when it comes to white collar, that might make sense, but with blue collar, that is not really that. It doesn't make that much sense because they always come back, right? Well, yes, thank you for taking out the time for talking with me and sharing your journey so far. I'm really excited about your fundraising. Hopefully you'll close soon and you'll be announcing, and really excited to see where you take it. This is a very exciting space to begin with, and I'm surprised that it took so long for someone in Pakistan to be doing this. But hey, dera hai durust hai. So I'm really glad you are doing this, and wish you all the best.
It's a pleasure to be here and discuss Bhartee with you.
Thanks for listening to the Misal podcast. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and will thank me by writing a review or sharing it on social media. Make sure you follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks again. See you soon.